All right. Can you guys hear me? Can anyone hear me? Hopefully, I should have asked that before I hit the record button.
Yes,
But
we can hear you.
We can hear me. Okay, cool. Great. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to finish up our master series on sales, right? Because a big reason why a lot of you guys are here is because, yes, you want to start using bots in your business, but a lot of you, more importantly, are going to go out there and start selling them to other businesses, right? And so the first couple of videos on this series talked about prospecting, and we talked about some of those different ways to get client or generate leads and to start conversations. But the next thing that we're going to talk about is what do we actually do when we are when we're in front of the client, right? What do we actually do? What do we say? What are the things that we need to convey and actually in order to close the sale? And so there's three things that we're going to focus on today, okay? We've got the pitch is what we're going to wrap up with. We're going to talk about what the prospect, because that's a big part of obviously closing the sale. And then we've got mindset as well, because I wouldn't be doing sales a service, or I wouldn't be, if we were talking about sales training, I wouldn't be doing you a service if I didn't talk about mindset. Now, those of you guys who have already been in sales for years, or those of you guys who have sold 4, 5, 6-figure contracts even, you guys can tune me out for the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. However, if you are still nervous about asking people for money, if you're still nervous about asking for $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, right? Well, then really it has nothing to do with the software. It has nothing to do with the capabilities. It has nothing to do with the campaigns or anything like that. What it has to do with is your mindset and you being comfortable asking for money. And so, or asking for that amount of money. And I'll share with you, for me personally, I was fortunate enough to, and the reason I can speak to some of this, I was fortunate enough to train over 3,000 salespeople. Collectively, my sales organization was able to do over 5 million in sales over a period of about 4 years. And so I've trained a lot of people in sales, and I've sold a lot of stuff myself personally, but I also know that I am not a natural salesperson. In fact, I hate sales, right? I loathe sales. Almost with a passion. And that's why, being fully transparent, when I was building my agency, I knew that I didn't want to spend the majority of my time doing the sales. I knew that I didn't want to spend the majority of my time actually having these sales conversations, because for me, I was a creative. I'm an artist. Like I look at my marketing as art. I look at my chatbots as art. I look at my ad campaigns as art. And so for me, getting to practice my art isn't like, if I'm having a sales conversation, I'm trying to sell people on stuff, or we're going back and forth over prices and negotiating and all this stuff, then I can't be creative. And so just understand that they are two completely different mindsets. They're two completely different skill sets. Just because you're a good Facebook ads manager and you're good at creating good Facebook ads, or you're a good copywriter, does not mean that you're going to be good at closing the deal. Because when we are asking people right now, when we're asking them for, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for our chatbot services, it's going to require us to have, some confidence, right? And so they're going to be looking to us, or for me, like I have to now instill that confidence in my sales guy, right? And in my partner who handles all the sales. So being fully transparent, right? You have to understand that building bots and selling bots, they're a different mindset, and you have to have a different mindset when you're going into it. So that's from the start. The second thing is there's a couple of things that we have to really kind of understand, right? The two big things that we have to understand is price and value, right? And price is what it costs someone to buy something, right? And value is what they get when they pay for it, right? So the price is what they pay to get something. The value is what they get when they pay for it. And so these two concepts are very distinct, okay? So I'm going to stop sharing for a quick second so you guys can see, I don't know if you guys can see me, right? But there's two levels, right? And so we have price and value. And our goal, right? If we have somebody who is, if we have, how do I put this? I'm going to make sure that the screen is correct. I think it is.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, cool. So there is there's two measures here, right? Price and value. And if price is above value, that's when people say, oh, that's a waste of money, or that's not worth it. Or, right, that's when they say that's not worth it. Now, when someone says, when the value is above the price, that's when someone is getting a good deal. That's when someone is, essentially, that's when someone's going to buy. So the higher that we can stack our value and the higher that we can make it above our price, the more no-brainer of a actual sale it's going to be. So these are the two concepts, right? And so what I would challenge you is that depending on what your price point is, the great thing is that if you guys are brand new, right, you don't have to sell things for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. You don't have to. I talk about this kind of I'll call it like a price ceiling that everybody has, right? And what I mean by that is there's usually this number where below this number, no problem. Anybody can, they can ask for that amount of money, no problem. They have no problem, getting that kind of deal. However, once it gets above that number, well, they start to get nervous. They start to get fidgety. They get unsure, or the insecurities start to come out. And so what I would share with you is start to identify what is that number for you. And it was really, really interesting because I asked my partner this, right, who handles the sales, and we were selling deals all over the place, 500, 1,000, 1,000, no problem. And then all of a sudden we raised our normal packages to 1,500, and then we stopped selling. And I was like, well, this is really, really interesting because everything was the same except we just changed the price, right? And it's like the prospect was still the same. It was just the price. And so I asked him, I said, what's that number like that what's that price ceiling for you? And he was like, well, anything above like 1,500 or anything above, basically it was anything over $1,000, he felt like he needed to justify why he was asking for that price. And so what I would encourage you to do is to, in your head, in advance, you've got to justify your, the price, right? Like I remember coaching really rookie salespeople, and it was their first couple of days on the job, right? And they were having all of these pitches, but no sales. And it was like, man, this prospect was the ideal prospect. Why aren't you selling anything? What's going on? And it's like, they're like, I'm saying what you're telling me to say. Like I'm reading the script. Like I'm following the direction that you told me. And I asked them, I said, well, what do you think about our price? What do you think about what it costs to get our services? And they said, well, I think it's a little expensive. And I'm like, well, if you think it's expensive and you work here and you work for us and you're the one selling it, how do you think that the customer is going to feel? If you have someone and you go to Best Buy and that person is like you're asking like, how's this TV? And they're like, this TV, I don't know about it. You're not going to get it. So if they're like, oh yeah, like if you sense a little bit of hesitation, then that person's not going to get it. That person's not going to pull the trigger, right? So what you've really, really got to make sure is that you are convinced of this price by going through and highlighting the value, okay? So let me see here, and I'm going to pause to see if we have any questions. And after I finish mine, I'll see if there's any questions. And if there's any that come up that you want to make sure that I answer, throw those in the group chat there. So you have this price ceiling, right? The big thing is how do we actually justify our price? Well, I like to do. There's two kind of ways, right? The first is time-based, and this is not necessarily what I'm going to recommend. However, I am someone who wants to give you all your options and let you make the best decision based on where you're at in your business and what makes most sense for you as an individual and as a entrepreneur. Because what you can do is base it on the time that it's going to take. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be based on hours, or it's like, hey, I'm going to work this amount of hours, so this time but it could be, hey, the more complex it costs, or the more complex it is, the more it's going to cost. Or it could be like, you know what? I work with somebody, and I was asking them how they do their pricing, and they're like, well, in order for my team to put that together, that's going to take about 30 hours. In order for me to pay that person 30 hours worth of work, it's going to cost this much money. So $30 times that much money, here's my base cost. If I want to make some profits, I'm going to put on a little bit extra on top of that, and then that's my price.
Well, that's time-based pricing, and that's totally, totally reasonable if that's what you want to do. Now, here's what I want to encourage you to remember, though, right? That it's not just, your time is not just, you don't have to be worth minimum wage, or you don't have to be worth, what you're worth, your hours on Fiverr, like what, you don't have to base it on that. What you can remember is how I'm gonna put like skillful time, right? Like think about it, okay? Like how long would it take for someone who has no idea to create chatbots, right? Has no idea how to build them, has no idea what to do, is not a marketer or anything like that. How long is it going to take them to create what you are going to build, right? So don't forget that just because you can do it in 20 hours, just because you can do it in X amount of time, just because it's going to take you one day, a couple of days to whip it up, doesn't mean that everybody can do that. So you can't shortchange, and I do this all the time because I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be easy. I'll do that in 45 minutes. Here you go. But I forget that I have also not only been doing this at a high level for a very long time, but particularly us as bot developers, we have a very, very specialized bit of knowledge that is important to consider when we are pricing our stuff. Example, lawyers, right? They charge hourly, but they charge hundreds of dollars per hour because only they, right now it's with the internet, it's a little different, but only for a long time, only they could offer that. Doctors, same thing, skilled thing, like only limited amount of people can do it. Surgeons, skilled thing. Consultants, it's you're offering your skills, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is value-based, right? Is value-based pricing, right? And what you can do is you can actually take it based off of what is the value that you are bringing to this business. And I would encourage you to quantify that as much as possible. And so the things that you're going to need to know are like, what is the lifetime value of a particular customer, right? And so what you need to figure out is for every person and every customer that you bring them, how much is it worth? If you bring them a customer and that customer, the first time they buy, it's $100, but on average, that customer buys from them 10 times over their lifetime, right? Well, that lifetime of that customer is now $1,000 for every customer that you bring into them. Well, if we know that and the business knows that, and you can bring them 10 customers, well, that's bringing them $10,000. Well, now if you can set up a system that can bring them 10 customers without them having to do really anything, and they make $10,000 based on this system, isn't it right for them to pay you back $1,000? Or if they make $20,000, like for me, and you can determine what that number is, but I'm always a 10x pricer. So I say, hey, if it's worth $10,000, doesn't it make sense for you to pay me $1,000? If I can make you 10 and you only have to give me back 1, aren't we cool? Right? That's John Loger's famous line, right? That's his famous closing line. If I can get you 10 customers and you only have to pay me back what it costs to get 1 customer, you get to keep 9 customers. Aren't we cool? Isn't that a win-win, right? And it's like, well, if you can get a business owner to say, hey, here's my lifetime value, who's this great for? People who sell memberships, gyms, right? Chiropractors, people who come back on an ongoing thing, right? Dentists, people who have an upsell and a value ladder. So helping them to see that, no, when I get you this customer, it's not just going to be that $100 that one time, but that person's going to continue to come back. Well, then now you have the ability to offer and ask for a larger price. So we have these two base things, right? Or these two pricing models where we can base it on the value that we provide, or we can base it on the time that it's going to take, okay? So this right here is really, when it comes down to it, is the mindset that you need to have when it comes into, when it comes to sales. So I'm going to take a look here at the chat. If either of you guys, anybody has any questions specifically about mindset, because we're going to talk about prospect and pitching in a second, but specifically about mindset, feel free to unmute yourself and throw that question if you guys, if anyone has anyone. Let's see, no questions here. Okay, so I think it says, Sam says, what do you think of doing your first as a beta test for half off? So I'm a big believer in building up what I call this price ceiling, right? And for me, my very first work that I did was for free, right? My very first chatbot that I set up was for free. It was for my high school buddy, okay? He lived in, excuse me, he went to high school with me. He was a swim instructor, okay? And I went out there. Let me tell you what I did for him for free, okay? I went out there. I recorded a video for him. I put together 2 sales videos for him, right? Shot them, edited them, produced them, okay? Built his whole chatbot for him, right? All for free. Now, why did I do that, right? Well, because I was now able to take that experience and secondly, that case study to the second person who was actually now I think about it, it was the gym, right? The gym was second, right? So they were actually my first big case study. But then I had the confidence to go to this gym and say, all right, you know what? You pay me a little bit and we'll build this out for you. And then that I was able to leverage into a success story that got me all the other clients that I've gotten, right? That one that I did for free got me the experience and got me the case studies that allowed me to now build upon, right? So you don't always have to go out there and remember, what you charge to one person doesn't mean that you have to charge to another. And then what we did is we built up, and then we started charging to a couple $100 for bot builds. Then we started charging $500 for bot build. Now then we were charging $1,000 for bot build. Now we're in talks for charging people multiple, 4 figures, right? $3,000-$4,000, and even we're in talks with a 5-figure bot build, right? So it's like when you start to raise it up through your experience, through your results, through obviously your mentality, you can start to charge more. So don't feel like you have to go out there and charge a big price right off. Another thing that a lot of agencies like to do is the 20% model, right? And what that is, you charge 20% more each time you bring on a new client. So if your first client is $1,000, your second client is $1,200, and then your next client is whatever that $1,320 or whatever, I don't know what it is, but you keep going up and up each person that you sign. So that's an option too. So that's huge. So Jay says, how do you show the value of a bot that when you're only selling a bot with no additional traffic? So remember, what you can do is you can, this is a great question. What you can do is you can use, I guess another kind of model, right, is like the industry model. And you can use a comparison model. And so the comparison is obviously websites. And so it's like, hey, Mr. Mrs. Business Owner, your website costs this much and it's only doing this for you. Well, in comparison, we can do this, and this for you. And it's not going to be as much as that cost. It's only going to be this, right? So if we're looking to offer it, right, and we're looking to kind of show the value, we can always compare it to other forms, right? Whether it's, if you were to do this same system with email marketing, it would cost you hundreds of dollars a month just for the software. Well, with the system that we're going to use, after I give it to you, you can have it, and all that you're going to have to pay is $10 a month to keep the software running. So what you can do is you can actually frame it against other things, other competitors, right? Whether they're direct competitors like other bot builders, or whether they are other like indirect competitors like email or what I'm blanking on, any other form of traffic, Google, PPC, things like that. That's an option as well. Hopefully that helped. So Arthur says, when we charge and we build, who is we? Arthur, I have a team of people. So when I say we, that's who I mean. I've got some designers, I've got some graphics people, some sales people, and me, and then obviously my bots. And honestly, I always said we. Even when it was just me on my team, I always said we. I was like we, and even if I meant like me and you, the client, we is like it's a team, right? And it also makes you look bigger. So not like bigger, but we is a better, right? It's because it's more valuable. I don't know. Never lie, but if people say we, I always just say, oh, it's me and my team, right? It's me and my, and a lot of times, even if it's like your graphic designers, your outsourcers, people that you use on Fiverr, all that counts. Okay. When you said we, it sounds professional and big. Absolutely. It's Simple Mind, Cody. This is Simple Mind Lite. All right, so that's the software that we are, or the flowchart that we're using. Okay, so let's talk about prospecting, okay? Because before we get into the sales, one of the most important determinants of us making a sale is whether or not the prospect is the right kind of person, okay? Let me share with you kind of a funny, what story should I? Well, I'll share it with you this way, right? I remember once again, coaching rookie salespeople. And there were a few people who, most of the people would go out there, and if they listen to my directions, they follow what I said in my training, they go out there and they'd be like Yannick, or they'd be like Andre, or they'd be like, some of these people who are closing, bot sales in their first couple of weeks. However, what's really, really interesting is that when people don't have the results that you expect, there's usually a reason. And one of the biggest reasons was that they weren't showing qualified customers. So your clients have to, in order for them to be qualified customers, they have to meet a certain set of criteria, okay? So let me walk through that criteria in order for them to be qualified, right? So there's a certain set of decisions and beliefs that these people need to have before that you should even spend time talking on the phone with them, right? And these are basic ones, but you're going to see what I mean. The first decision in order to be qualified that people have to have is they have to agree that it is important to spend money on advertising, okay? You need to make sure that they are already spending money on advertising, or that they see the value in spending money on advertising. There are a lot of businesses who stake their claim on the fact that they've been able to grow a business without marketing and without spending any marketing. And yes, in a pre-internet world, in a pre-chatbot world, in a pre-social media world, yes, you may have been able to do that because there were limited channels and when there were limited amounts of ways for people to be able to find out about your business. But now there are infinite amount of ways for people to find out about a business, and an unlimited and an unfathomable amount of options for someone to go for your particular types of services, generally speaking, right? Especially with local businesses. Why, right? You have to help, people have to see that there is value in spending money, because not like they have to see the value that, hey, if you spend $1, I'm going to help you turn that into $5 or 10 or 15 or $20, right? But they have to see that there is value in spending money on marketing, right? So a lot of times that comes in the form of asking them, oh, what other forms of marketing are you guys doing? What other form of advertising are you guys doing? And asking them. And if they go, oh, we don't do any advertising, you go, oh, okay, got it. Well, is that because you guys are looking for the right ways to do it? Or why is that? And they might go, oh, well, we don't spend money on advertising. Okay, well, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, well, what I provide is I actually utilize paid sources of traffic, because it's actually the best way to be able to leverage the social media platforms. And it's actually the most efficient way, both with your money and time, for you to be able to get in front of people who would have never otherwise been exposed to your product or service. So all what I provide, actually a lot of it utilizes paid or actually utilizes some form of money, right? Even if I'm not talking about paid traffic, like obviously they're gonna have to pay me to build their bot. So if they're not into building marketing, I might say, well, there are some free resources and options for you to do it on your own. I can direct it to you, but what I do actually is, does take a little bit of time, and I only have a limited amount of people that I can work with. So I am going, what we do does charge. We do charge for what we do. Is that going to be okay with you? And then they might go, well, we're not looking to spend any money right now. Okay, awesome. No problem. I'll put you in my drip campaign. I'll follow up with you in 6 months. We'll stay top of mind. We'll go from there. But the first thing that you have to figure out is, are they ready and willing and see the value in spending money? The second thing, yeah, Audric says, keep it moving. The second thing is, do they see value in social media, right? Do they see the value in social media, right? Because there are some people who are like, you know what? We are all about PPC. We're all about, SEO. We're all about Craigslist, or we're all about Yelp, or we're all about this. And it's like, okay, that's great. However, then you can go in and, you can build up all the value. Facebook, 2 billion users. Messenger, 1 billion users. Facebook, all this data that they have. Engagement. People are spending, more time on Facebook than like any other platform, right? All these other statistics that you can throw at them. The average user on Facebook is like 45 years old. Over 60% of senior citizens have a Facebook profile. You can throw all these stats at them, right? But they have to see the value in utilizing social media, right? They may not have to be doing it, because a lot of people don't know how to do it because it seems complicated, it seems time consuming, and they feel like they don't want to screw it up. However, they at least need to see that specifically Facebook and social, well, I guess social media. And the next thing, right, is through messenger marketing, right? The next thing is they have to be on board with messenger marketing. They have to be at least on board with us generating leads through Facebook Messenger. And most people are, I'd say 85, 90, 95. I've very, very, very few people who aren't. The only reason that people aren't is because they feel like their lead base or their demographic isn't on Facebook Messenger. And they're just naive to the fact that Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg will bother you to download Facebook Messenger until you download it, and it'll just sit on your phone. So most people have Facebook Messenger, and it's only going to expand. So you got to make sure that they are at least, hey, we're going to spend money on marketing, okay? Whether it's paid traffic or even just building the bot. Hey, we're going to be doing this, and then either we're going to be spending money, spending time, you're going to be paying me to manage your Facebook and drive traffic to your bot, or if I build your bot and I'm not going to be doing it for you, you're going to have to go out there and utilize this on social media, right? You're going to have to go out there. If I give you this awesome bot, it's not going to get subscribers on its own. It's not a spam bot, right? So they've got to see the value of social media as well. And then the last thing is messenger marketing, right? They've got to be able to see the value in being able to utilize, hey, here are all the cool things about messenger marketing. 1 billion people, interactive, engaging, personalized, follow-up, low barrier to entry, all these things, right? So they don't have, like, it's not hard to convince them of it, but they've got to make these 3 check marks before we can even get to the next point. And a lot of times it could be these things can happen in one question. These things can happen before the sales call. The point is the rest of the pitch isn't going to matter if they're not sold on social media, if they're not sold on messenger marketing first. All right, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. If you guys have any questions on specifically qualifying people and what qualified is, I want to talk about some ways to motivate them next. But if you guys have any questions on this so far, feel free to unmute yourself now if you're on live. Otherwise, I'll keep moving. I'll keep rolling. All right, let's keep rolling. Host only. There we go. Oh, sorry. Send chat to everyone. Allow attendees to. I'm going to allow you to chat with everybody. Okay, so let's go to the next part is motivation, right? And so motivating them comes a lot of times through once again, we're going back to desire and let's go back to desired results, right? This is really what it comes down to. If they know the results that you can get them and it's something that they really desire and it's something that they want more than anything, and if they just had that, oh my goodness, then all of their business woes would go away. Well, then that's what you need to speak to. And so what I would encourage you, and Arthur, to kind of speak to your question, is in your marketing, you want to motivate people this way. And so what we do is when we are sending people, when we're prospecting, and this is something that we didn't create or we didn't think of, it's just something that works, is what we'll do is we'll record a video, right, that will actually go through. When people ask, oh, can you send us more info? We go, yeah. Here's this video that shows you this case studies and all of this awesome things. Like basically we have like a little mini webinar that we send them that motivates them because we walk through our case studies, we walk through our testimonials, and we show them that we can get them the results that they desire. And then we allow them to be able to take initiative, right? So we allow them, like another part of this is like to allow them to take initiative, and we allow them to schedule a call. So we actually host this right now. We're trying to build it and integrate it into a chatbot, but it hasn't fully made it yet. But right now it's on a ClickFunnels page, right? And what we have is underneath, it just has a button that if they actually want to schedule a call and talk about us doing what we just talked about for them, it allows them to schedule the call and it allows them to take action. That way we're not pulling, trying to like pull teeth out of people. That way we're actually getting people who are motivated to work with us and are willing enough to take the initiative to take that next step, right? So that's big. And the last thing that I wrote is I wrote unafraid, because what they should come to before that, and remember, we haven't even talked about the pitch, okay? And by the way, if you guys have gotten any value out of this, look at this pitch and what we're going to talk about. Okay, we're really going to talk about some good stuff for the pitch. So stay tuned. It's going to be good. However, before we even get to the pitch, all right, and by the way, all you guys are responding to me privately. Make sure that if you guys want everyone to see it, that you guys send it to everybody. That way everybody can see it, because it was only going to me for a little bit. Sorry if you're catching that on the replay. That doesn't mean anything to you. I think I screwed it up. I always screw up the tech here. I'm sorry. So it's probably my fault, Audric. My bad. But in any case, let's keep moving. What do I mean by that? They should not be afraid when it comes to your price. When it, like you shouldn't be springing the price on them on the sales pitch. That's one of the most, I don't want to say the worst thing that you could do, because there's worse things that you could do. However, it's going to make it a very difficult battle if they're finding out the price the same time that they're getting pitched. And the reason that is that you have to convince them of two things, and buying is an emotional thing. So you have to realize that they have to overcome that emotion before, right? So they need to see the value before, and they need to at least see that, you know what, if you're promising what you're, what you promise and what you're telling me is what you can get me, that's worth 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. That, okay, you know what, in my head, what you said to motivate me is worth that. Now I just got to see if you actually know what you're talking about. Now I got to see if it's going to work out for me. Now I've got to get some of my smaller questions, some of my, more detailed concerns answered in the pitch. But what you're telling me is at least worth it. So by sharing the price with them before you actually get on the call, you're going to have people who aren't afraid of pulling the trigger, right? Because one thing, like, right, I talked about this on the last one, but here's what you need to tie down, right? And we'll talk about these before. But essentially what you need to tie down is, when are they ready to get started, right? When are they ready to get going, okay? Like, they shouldn't be afraid to get started, right? When are they, who is the decision maker, right? They shouldn't be afraid to make a decision, okay? They also shouldn't be afraid of the price, okay? They also shouldn't be afraid of the prices, right? The prices, at least they should know your intro. They don't need to know all your upsells, and they don't need to know like everything that it's going to cost. And you might be able to upsell them, on the call, but you should at least say, hey, you know what? Our basic packages start at this. So if everything worked out, is that something that would fit, for your business? Do you think that you guys would be able to handle that this quarter? I like that question, because they might go, well, that's something that we're really looking to do next quarter. Okay, well, fine. Then let's have this conversation next time. Or, well, all right, I totally understand. However, and it depends on how hard you want to close them. You can start to close them hard. You can say, you know what, I totally understand. You want to get started, in quarter two, and that might make a lot of sense. However, if we were to get started, this month, by the time quarter two rolls around, we could already start to see the revenue that's come in from the system, and you could be able to invest even more and be in a better place in quarter two. So with that being said, do you think that you guys would want to, at least get started a little bit earlier? And he might go, no, I don't think so. We want to really get started. Okay, cool. Well, then that's fine. But you got to have these questions answered before, right? So they got to know if they're ready to get started, who the decision maker is, and they got to know the price. Cool. Okay. So let's jump into the pitch here. All right. Let's jump into the pitch. So once we've got them on the call, right? Once we've got those things locked down, let's talk about, what do we actually say to close the deal? Okay. Let's pull those down here. Okay. So people always ask, all right, how do I do the call? And there's lots of different ways. And you can do the call with slide decks, and you can send them a PowerPoint presentation right before the call, right? And you can, or when you're on the phone with them, you can do it kind of old school, and you can say, you know what, here's, you're going to send it to your email. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, go and open up that slide deck. All right, awesome. Go to page 1. Are you on this page? Okay, do you see the one with my name on it and the little swirlies? Okay, cool. That's me. All right, let's start there. I'm just going to walk you through these pictures, and we're going to be on the phone. Is that cool? Okay, cool. Awesome. So you could do it that way. Or you could do a Zoom call like this, where you're sharing your screen and you're walking them through your slides, right? You could do that. Or you could do, now what we like to do is we like to get them on a Zoom call, And we like to just show them, because we now have the results, because we have the case studies, because we have the campaigns that have already been built. We've already got, the bots and the subscribers. Like, all we're doing is we're just showing them our ads manager. We're just clicking around in our ads manager and saying, hey, here's this campaign. So it looks really authentic. And then we're clicking around in our ManyChat and we're showing them here and here's, we're doing those different types of things, so that it's very authentic. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. It's just about which way is right for you, where you're at, and which way is most comfortable for you. So I pitched before we had a lot of results and before we had a lot of just a lot of case studies. We used a slide deck, and what we would do is we would have some pictures and we would have some ideas that we wanted to cover and stuff like that. But really, there's those three options, right? So you can use you can send them a PowerPoint, you can do a Zoom call with a PowerPoint, or you can do a Zoom screen share, right? It doesn't even have to be Zoom, but you can use some sort of screen share software so that they can actually see your ads manager, and actually the ManyChat or the chat field backend, because that makes it look more real for them. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the sales pitch. And what I want to talk about is, this is a sales pitch that I have adapted from years in direct sales and then years in selling services as well. And what I found is that they all kind of follow the same general outline, right? And so you can take what you like, leave what you don't, adapt what you find weird and funky, and expand on what you really enjoy. This is yours for you to take or leave for what you will, right? But with that being said, I have trained, now outside of digital marketing, over 3,000 people in sales, and that has generated over $5 million worth of revenue of non-information products, of physical home goods, the oldest school products that you could ever think of. So the reason that I say that is, if these things are undying and these things are timeless, and I've seen people utilize these same strategies to sell financial services. I've seen these same strategies used to sell coaching and consulting. And so this here is just kind of a model that you can apply onto any sales conversation that you're going to have. But the first thing that you're going to want to have is some sort of rapport. And rapport is really just the relationship building aspect of your conversation. And this can either be 30 seconds where it's you kind of establish and kind of lay the ground rules, and it's hey, here's what's going to go on, because there are certain people where it's they don't want any frills. They don't I don't like small talk or talking about the weather or, hey, how's it going? No. We're on a sales call, at least for me, right? This is for me. We're on a sales call. You're pitching me on something. I understand that. Let's get down to it. Let's talk about it. Okay. So for me, that rapport building process is very, very short. Now, on the other hand, I have sat down and I've chatted with certain business owners and certain people, and just talk for half hour, 45 minutes, because for them, building a relationship, building that connection, sitting there chatting, talking about the weather, talking about family is a big part of who they are willing to do business with. And they only want to do business with people that they consider friends. And so just understand that part's going to come at the beginning, because you need to just get on the same wavelength, right? You just need to get on the same page and kind of, so that building rapport is huge. Okay. And that's what I would encourage you to do is, if you study a lot, psychology, you'll learn that there are different types of people, and people who have different triggers and different hot buttons and respond to different things and appreciate different ways of learning. And so that's huge. Okay. Second thing is what we call tie downs, right? Now that goes back to these questions before, right? These tie downs. And the last one is, it's not really that they're unafraid, but the last tie down question is there anything special or particular, right? If there's anything special or particular that you want to make sure that's included. That's always what we ask, because you never really know if they have any specific ideas. Sometimes they'll just say, oh no, we just want to see what you have. But a lot of times, and they'll share oh, well, we want to make sure that it can do this. Or a good way that you can find this out is by asking what they don't want. And the way that you find that out is you ask, like, did you guys ever do anything that didn't work out? Like, if you guys like what's been the marketing that's been worked out the best? I would ask them that first, and I go, and then they say, oh, we really did this and it really, really worked. And I go, okay, I gotta get some ideas. But then I also ask them, is there anything that like you guys tried that really didn't work that you guys wouldn't want to do again? And they go, oh, we tried this and this and this. We would never do this. And I'm like, okay, noted. I don't want to include that. I want to avoid that so that I can make sure to not say, oh, we want to do that. Little do they know, they're like, we already tried that. That doesn't work. So I don't want to get that sprung on me during the pitch. So I'm going to find out, is there anything special that it needs to have before we get on this pitch here? So that rapport and then the tie downs, right? Okay, awesome. So it looks here in my notes, or I just as a reminder, or just so I'm clear, you said that you guys are willing to get started, right? So if you like everything at the end of the call today, you guys are going to be ready to get started today. Yeah. Okay. Oh, or then they might come up. Oh, well. And, handling those objections before you ever get to the commitment or the decision is so much more important as opposed to getting them to decide when they're going to get started, and then also decide if they're going to get started. So I like to tie that down. So it's like, all right, well, hey, you don't have to decide right now, but if you like it, we would want to get started right away because, we've got all this momentum, all these ideas are happening. We have our team ready to go. So if we go through this call right now and we spend this, half hour walking through this whole thing, we would want to get started right away. So do you think like would you want to get started right away or do you think that it'd be better to schedule this call another time? And then you throw it in their court. And once again, we only want to be having the conversations with the people who are ready to have this conversation. So we would go through this. All right, awesome. Okay, cool. And you said, you're the decision maker, right? You said you're the only one that really needs to be on this call. There's nobody else here who needs to be, who you think this needs to be on this in order to make a decision. No? Okay, cool. Awesome. Great. And then I would go to the next one. And I would tell them, in our sales guy or our appointment schedule, and I mentioned on the last call that our basic packages start at $1,000. So that's not going to put you guys out of business, right? Okay, awesome. Great. Very cool. Well, and then we go into it. And then right after that, what you want to get into is you really want to highlight the pain of what's associated with doing and executing what it is that you do. And because we love it, now we're fucking weird, okay? We're marketers for starters, that makes us weird. We're bot developers for seconds, that makes us even weirder, all right? So we have to realize that what we do, although it's fun for us, is eye gouging for most people, right? Like if my fiance, my mom, anybody had to sit here and learn or just listen to this talk about selling bots, they would absolutely be bored 100% to death. They would absolutely be pulling their minds out. They would be trying to pull their eyes out, right? Or their ears, whatever you want to say. And my point in saying that is that we have to highlight the difficulty in what it is that we actually provide, right? So there's 4 things that you want to make sure that they see that they can't do, okay? Number 1, incapable, right? They have to see that they are incapable of doing this, right? And the way that we do this, very simply, without being really in their face, is just by clicking through the ads manager, clicking through ManyChat. We just click through the ads manager and we go, oh, say here it is, and we do this, and here's our campaign, and here's the ad, and here's what it looks like, and here's where they go, and we say that super simple to them, but we're clicking all around, and they're like, holy shit, what are you doing? What are all these numbers? What are all these buttons? Where are you, right? That's the easiest way that we show people that they are incapable of doing that, right? But we highlight and we let them know in a very subtle and a very helpful way that they can't do what we do. And if they did, it's going to take them a lot of time to figure it out. The second thing that we highlight is what we do is difficult, right? And the way that we do that is we share how long it took us to learn or how long it took us to test and execute, right? I always say, yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, a lot of people can learn to do this. But the problem is that it's going to take a lot of time to actually learn how to build all of it. And then it's actually going to take a lot of money to actually test what actually works on it as well. because I'm usually pitching it with lead gen services. So that's why I kind of highlight, that's why I highlight it that way. But the difficulty aspect is we need to know like, hey, not only can you not do this, if you wanted to go out there and try to do it, it's going to take you a lot of time. It's going to take you a lot of money, right? So you don't even like, basically what we're saying is it's not even worth trying. Like that's the idea that we're trying to convey, is that it's difficult, right? And so we show them, yeah, do you see all these different ad sets? Yeah, because we do lots of testing and we do lots of, iterations to make sure that we find the ads that are working. And that's why what we do is such a difficult process, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner. The third thing that we walk them through is the complexity of it, right? We walk them through the complexity of it. And what I mean by that is you have to show them in a simple way all the different pieces of your system. So specifically for the bot, what we walk them through is we're going to help you generate the lead. We're going to capture the lead. Then we're going to nurture the lead. Or then we're going to capture the lead. Then we're going to segment the lead. Then we're going to nurture the lead. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to follow up with the lead. And then we're going to help you close or schedule the lead. And then once you close or schedule the lead, we're going to follow up with them and we're actually going to help you to get more reviews or referrals from the lead, right? So we in a very simplified way, we help them to see all of the different aspects of what it is that we're creating. Whether that comes down to, we're going to go ahead and create these different links, these landing pages, these different QR, messenger codes for you. We're going to go ahead and create these different sequences and these different messages, the welcome message. So when they come in, they're able to interact with your bot. We're going to build out your follow-up sequences so that 1 day, 3 days, 5 days afterwards, they're still able to interact and engage with your bot. So you have to help and walk them through the different, like how complex, right, it's going to be, right? And the last is costly. And you can say, we've spent lots of money testing these things. I've spent hundreds or thousands of dollars taking courses, learning how to do these things. I have myself invested, money into learning these programs. I myself invested money into, time and into utilizing these things, right? But also the costly, like if they wanted to go, like here's the alternative, okay? If they wanted to do it themselves, okay, well, we already talked about all the time that it would take. Or if they wanted to hire somebody to do it themselves, like if they wanted to bring someone on their team, do you know that the average salaried social media manager in America is $60,000? So what that means is that is a $5,000 a month retainer for the average person who does social media management who doesn't know a clue what a chatbot is. So my point in saying that is if they wanted to hire somebody to do it on their own, well, it's going to cost them a lot of money. Or if they wanted to hire a VA to do it on Fiverr, they're going to have to hire 5, 10, 15 different people before they get the right one. So it's really, really important to highlight how costly it is to not hire you, right? Because when you walk them through this, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm like what you're telling me is awesome. But I can't do it. So tell me what you do, right? Tell me how. Like tell me what you do. Tell me what what this looks like for us to get working with, right? And if they've made all of these, if you've hit all these points, well, now the next steps are easy, because then the next step you just go ahead and you differentiate, right? And illuminate not only how you are better, but how you are different from the competition, right? That's really, really important these days, not just to be better. Everybody expects you to be better than the competition. What they want to know is, how are you different? What makes you different? Are you different because you are someone who works specifically with that niche or with that industry, and you have experience and knowledge with that niche or in that industry? So when I tell real estate agents, we've ran campaigns in almost 15 different, markets. We've got, groups, we've got a group of over 4,000 members. We have, over 20 different consulting clients, like we've worked a lot. So we have some clout in this particular market, right? That's how we are different, right? You're not just going to get a marketer. You're going to get someone who works in that particular space, right? Or are you different because, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, you might pay for a lot of marketers. You might pay for a lot of Facebook marketers, but none of them out there are going to give you this bot. Or none of them out there are going to give you messenger marketing, or none of them out there are going to give you a bot of this level of depth, of this quality, a bot of this personalization or whatever it is. Not only do you have to highlight how you are better, you have to really make sure that they know how you are different from the competition. And the reason that is, and I'm gonna wrap this up in a few minutes. So if there's any questions, we can have those at the end. I realize that we're coming up here on the end here, and I didn't take a whole lot of time for questions. So if you guys have any questions about these, I'll stick around a few minutes and answer those as well. But if you do this, it makes it really easy for you to now summarize everything that you've said. So, Mr. Business Owner, what we do is we do this, 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 and this. We provide this, this, and this, and this, so that all you have to do is that. And you can go out there and find other companies. And now here's this next, that's the summary. The comparison part is people always want to do research. They don't want to have what's called buyer's remorse. And that's when someone makes a decision and then all of a sudden a few days later, a few weeks later, what happens is that they feel remorseful about it because they learned something that they didn't know then. So if you can give them all the information that they feel like they would need in order to make a decision, right? And they don't have to go out and research it because you've given them that information. You've told them what your competitors are like. You told them what your competitors offer. You've told them what your competitors cost. And you've also told them how you're better. Well, then all of a sudden, they're going to be much more willing to pull the trigger. And then the last part is to give them some sort of urgency, right? To pull the trigger today. And then be confident in them making the decision. You have to give them some sort of reason to push them over the edge because most people are very, very hesitant. They're lazy and they're risk averse. So if we're asking them to spend $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 right there at that moment, we've got to engage their emotions in a positive way so that they are excited to take that action. And as opposed to them feeling pain when they take that action and pay, that they feel some sort of reward and for taking that action, and they get endorphins because they get something. So as opposed to them feeling like they're giving away their money, you want to frame it in a way that they get something from making a decision today. So early in my sales career, I found that giving extra bonuses or giving free stuff was a huge, huge, huge way of doing it. And so a lot of ways, now we offer services so you can offer 1 month free. You can offer a discount. You can offer this extra feature. You can say, you know what, and Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, if you pull the trigger today, we'll also add this extra feature that normally costs more. I'll throw that in for you as a complimentary bonus if you buy that today. So if we sign the contract and we get started today, I'll actually throw in that scheduling feature that you really, really wanted me to build in that was going to cost more money. I'll build that in as a bonus for you deciding to get started today. What do you think? Should I send over the contract? Right? And so giving them some sort of reason. And then the last part, right, is huge, is being confident in them pulling a trigger and making a decision today, right? They are looking to you to be confident. And if you, for whatever reason, don't have the most confidence that they should get started, they're not going to get started, right? If you work for us, you work for them, you're the company selling it, and they don't think that you should get, that you're not 100% confident that they should get it. Why should they get it? Right? And why, so this goes back to the mindset thing, right? But if we have our mind right, if we've qualified our customers right, and we walk them through all these things, at the end of the day, we should like, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, what email should I send the invoice to? Awesome. I'm so excited to get started today. You're gonna be so pumped. You're gonna love it, right? Like that's my favorite word. You're gonna love it. You're going to love it. You're gonna love it. That's what I tell them, right? So, anyways, that's 55 minutes. That's 10 years of sales training in 55 minutes. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys as well. Let's see. She's definitely my wife. I thought I said my wife. I thought I said wife. I thought I said that, but yeah, she's definitely my wife. As a couple of weeks. She might be upset if she heard me. She's actually out at the movies with her brother, seeing a chanted movie. I don't know what the movie is. So does anyone have any questions? Go ahead and unmute yourself and throw those down or put them into the chat, and I will answer those. I don't see any in the chat though. Audric, you got a question?
Real quick. So you just mentioned, I know you didn't go into detail, but if you said like you like that whole scheduling thing, are you talking about like including like a Calendly into it or?
Great. So I think I covered on the last call in terms of our packaging, we're very clear on what they're getting. And then anything extra allows us an opportunity to either charge more or give it as a bonus. So yes, if I'm like our basic one does not have a native scheduling feature, meaning that they can't just schedule something right in the bot and it'll like the bot won't it won't be able to know like an automatic scheduling system. If they want us to build in like a dynamic automatic scheduling system that is integrated right into the bot, we can do that, but that is like an extra. And so when we're walking through it, when we get to the end and when we get to the differentiate and we get to the summary, one thing that we do is we walk through our packages. And I found that having multiple packages is really, really helpful in helping people with price psychology. So even just having a large package makes the smaller package seem so much better. So I remember we used to just be selling $1,000 packages, and I was like, all right, Dan, we're just gonna put a $5,000 package on the PowerPoint, and he's like, what are we gonna include in the $5,000 package? I'm just gonna be like, more stuff, right? Whatever. We're just gonna think of all the just think of extra stuff we can give them. But what was interesting is that yes, we sold, I think, one large package, right? But what happened is our closing percentage on all of the smaller packages went way up. And so by it being framed next to those, next to the more affordable ones, right? And now we had a $5,000 package, we have a $3,000 package, and then a $1,000 package. All of a sudden, the $1,000 package is like, that's a no-brainer. Well, I'll at least get started with the 1,000, because that, I can't do the 5, but I'm gonna at least do the 1. So by having those different options, it allows me to frame it against, that cheaper option against the more expensive one. And then, to more answer your question specifically, you can do whatever you choose, but those extra kind of features that are going to require some Zapier integrations or going to require some database integrations, those are things that are going to take time. And so those are things that I put into my advanced bots or that are extras, right? So if I'm just like our basic bots, if you want to build out your sequences, connect to your mobile friendly website, connect. I know Kiana, she actually had this question, what do I mean by funnel integration? I'm like, hey, if you've already got a funnel, you've already got the content created, you've already got the things like ready. All I need to do is just connect it in the bot. That's great, right? I'll go in there and I'll plug those in. I'll connect your buttons. I'll connect your links, 3-message, 5-message sequences that delivers your video, that delivers your blog, that delivers your article, whatever it is. Call to action, register for people to a webinar, call to action, send people to a sales page, no problem. Oh, you want us to do these cool things like scheduling people directly right in the chatbot. You want us to go out and grab, information from Google Sheets. You want us to go out and calculate, put together a dynamic, payment option, a dynamic cart. All right, yes, absolutely. Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner bots can do that. However, that's either going to take me more time to figure out if it's one of you to figure out, or you're going to have to come to a developer or come to somebody else, right? And say, hey, here's the bot that I need to build for my client. Can you build it, right? So that's obviously going to require money. So that allows you to tack on, a little bit more. So, Audrey, does that answer your question? I know I kind of went off a little bit more, but are you still there? Oh yeah, you are. Audrey, does that help at all?
Yeah, that worked. Thanks, man.
Okay, cool. There were some people who had their hands raised. You guys can just unmute yourself if you have any questions, or just throw it into the chat. Marcos, feel free to unmute yourself. Marcos, you want to chime in? You have a question?
No, I actually have a little. I learned this from one of my sales coaches. Can I put it on the thing for everybody to read? Is it cool?
Yeah, it's like a little script or like a little.
It's like a little script, and actually, it goes well with this software stuff.
Sweet. Do you want to share it a little bit for the people who aren't on the live one though? What does it say? What does it say?
So what it is, I'm going to read it off the script, right?
Yeah. Totally.
So let's say the customer tells you, let me think about it. So then you say, Mr. Customer, it's either one of two things, right? Either means you're not interested, or you're interested but not sure. So in other words, And then you go, if they're interested, then good, great. Then so what is it that that it doesn't meet your needs? Like, is it the software? Is it something? So then you go into detail. What is it? They're like, oh, no, it's not. Everything's fine. Great. So is it something else, right? So you tell them, does it meet your needs? Like, yes. So the third thing would be, is it financial? And usually it's financial. So people that usually have problems with money, they don't want to tell you because it's hard to say something like, I'm broke or I don't have any money. So then so you try to, what it is, you try to funnel down what is it they're actually, why they're not buying it. So in other words, you make it a point to find out what is it. So you want to make sure that some customers are interested, but they don't have the money, right? And some customers are interested, but they think, like you said earlier, about this might not work for me. But if you could get that out of the way, they're like, well, if we put in, like you said, that management to get people to sign up by themselves, would that work for you? They're like, oh, that would work for me then. Great. So then you don't even talk about money anymore. You know that they're willing to pay that money. So you kind of like, it's different when if I would put, it's hard for me to.
No, this is great, man. Can I piggyback off of that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I put it in right now just in case you.
Yeah, please put that in the chat. And so essentially what the last part right after the close, I mean, it should be, yeah, I'm ready to get started. And he's absolutely right. If there's any hesitation, it's either you're unsure or you just don't like it. And so I love that, right? How he phrased it. Of being like, hey, like I always love like, hey, Mr. Business Owner, like no problem. Like you're not going to hurt my feelings. Like if this is not for you, like, is it not for you or is there something else holding you back? Right. Like I like just throwing out like, hey, no worries. Like, is this not work for you? Like, you're not going to hurt my feelings by saying no. To get to the real, no, well, Hector, it's just this or whatever it is. So the next part is figuring out what is the real objection. And Marcus said something really, really powerful, which was that most people won't tell you the real objection right away. They usually give you what's called the smokescreen objection because like you said, they're not going to just be comfortable just flat out saying, oh, I'm broke, right? And I got into sales when my very first sales experience, I was 17 years old. And so imagine a 30, 40, 50-year-old, person telling a 17-year-old kid they couldn't afford something that cost a couple $100. There's a lot of prideful people. And so what they would say is they would make up every excuse to not say that they couldn't afford it. So I totally understand, Mr. Business Owner. So it's just that. So it's just the price. So it's just the timing. So it's just that. Okay, cool. Well, if we could fix that and we could solve that, would you want to get started? If we could adjust the price and offer you, a little bit lower of a price, maybe you just put down a deposit today to get started, and then you can pay the rest when the project is complete. Would that be a little bit better? Right? Or if you can, handling this objection and really getting to the root of it is huge. So understanding, but not agreeing, right? You can understand, hey, I understand that $1,000, $2,000 may seem like a lot of money right now. However, given what we talked about and given where your business is and given everything that's going to happen if we actually implement this system, don't you think that $1,000 is a small investment compared to the return that you're going to see over the next 3, 6, 12 months after this system is implemented, right? So actually handling those objections is the next step. And then follow up, right? Okay, follow up. All right, well, because ideally you'd like to get everybody to pull the trigger, but in a perfect world that would happen. But the reality is that's not. So I wish I got a chance to meet him. But definitely one of my mentors in entrepreneurship and sales was Zig Ziglar, and he's the OG sales mentor and sales trainer. And he said that the fortune is in the follow-up. And that is so true that, okay, the sales pitch, most of them should pull the trigger if you do it the right way. However, a lot of them aren't. And just because they don't pull the trigger now doesn't mean that they won't pull the trigger in a few weeks. And figuring out what that objection is and figuring out what's really holding them back and then placing them into a drip campaign, placing them into a follow-up campaign, placing them into some sort of CRM, database, Google Sheet, notebook, whatever it is, so that you can follow up with them in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months, whenever is appropriate, is so important because you've already done so much work to capture the lead, to nurture the lead, to go through all of this stuff that you don't have to start over again it's really now, is everybody gonna, are there gonna be some people who keep dragging you on and, oh, next week, next month, next year, whatever? Yeah, for sure. However, if you can systemize your follow-up, right, so that the 10%, the 15, the 20, the 25% that are ready and willing to get started in the follow-up, so that those people are reached out to and are you're top of mind, well, all of a sudden you can start to convert more people, more consistently. So that's huge. All right, I've been talking for a long time, guys. I'm sorry. I've gone over my hour, so hopefully you guys will forgive me. If you guys have any last lingering questions, feel free to unmute yourself or throw those into the chat, and I'll see if I can answer. And Heidi says, absolutely, you got to dig deep to find out their hesitation. Normally, they're not going to share it with you right away. So, guys, any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or throw those in the chat. And we'll go over that. Other than that, let's see. Heidi, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Go ahead.
I just had something to add on to what you were talking about as far as the hesitation and overcoming those things. One of the things that I've run into a lot in sales positions is the comment of, oh, I have to check with my spouse. I have to check with my wife. I have to check with my husband. And one of the ways that I've been taught to overcome that is to just ask, okay, I totally understand that. What do you think what do you think they wouldn't like about this? Or what do you think their objections would be? And just asking them is just being able to ask those questions helps you to overcome their objections. And I think that may help some other people that may not know how to do that, is just being able to ask, okay, I understand. So what do you think? Whatever it is. So that was just my little add-on.
I love it. Yeah, questions is tying down, right? Really getting to the root, because what'll happen, and you don't have to be an asshole about it, right? And I've kind of made that mistake, is like you'll kind of get people caught in like a runaround, or like not that you'll catch them in a lie, but at least you'll tie them down to where it's like, okay, so what you're saying is this. Okay, so got it. So if we did this and it solved that would be, would you be able to do it? And then go, well, and by asking questions and getting them to say it, a lot of times they will catch themselves just trying to make excuses. And then you're able to be like, hey, Mr. Business Owner, I know this can be a kind of a nerve-wracking decision. I know parting ways with, this much money can be emotional sometimes. However, let me assure you, we've done this with these types of people. This types of results have occurred with these industries this many times. You know what? You're going to be someone who's within this much time is going to be able to see some of the results. So I understand how you're feeling right now. However, what I would encourage you to do is to think about your business and whatever, yada. And you can sell and continue to build it up. But like Heidi said, asking questions to pull out the real objections is great. Great. All right. This was an interesting training, huh, guys? Because it's not really about bots. Gracie, you have a question?
Yes. Where do you go to meet these realtors, chiropractors, gym people? Do you network, or do you go to,
I don't go outside because I don't like to. I'm just kidding.
That's why I'm asking, how do you find these prospects?
So there are, and great question, Gracie. We talked about that on the previous call, but I'll address that a little bit, and I will say all of the ways, right? And so there are both offline and online ways to generate kind of these prospects. Let's start offline, because a lot of people don't think about these things, right? But offline, right, the opportunities, simple drop-ins, right? I've had students in this program, right, walk in to businesses and within a few weeks have multi-million-dollar contracts on the table simply because they walked into a business with their demo bot, right? So what's to stop you from taking one Friday night, one Saturday, one slow day, and going in and stopping by every single business on your block, or every type of business in this type of industry, right? So there is the simple drop-ins, and what you do is you walk in, you say, hey, I'm Gracie. I'm actually, I'm a marketing manager. We have this really new cool technology that we're doing for restaurants. I was actually wondering who does the marketing around here? Who does all your marketing? Oh, it's our owner. Oh, okay, cool. Well, hey, do you know when they can get a hold of them? Do you have their phone number? Do you have their email address? What's the best way to reach them? Oh, they're only here on Tuesday. Okay, cool. Cool. Well, awesome. Well, hey, we have this like new cool software. It's really easy to try. Do you mind if I let I let you try it out and then you can show it to him later or whatever it is? Okay, cool. Here, register. Here's the code. Go to this link, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So you can go in and walk in like that, come back when the owner's there, talk to the owner. Hey, did you talk to your cashier? He was playing with it. Oh, you didn't? No worries. Well, hey, here's the thing, right? He told me that you blah, blah, blah. So simple drop-ins is huge. The other offline opportunity is networking groups like BNIs, Toastmasters, Chamber of Commerce's, things like that are really, really great. And what's awesome is if you go to these, you're going to be the expert. These people are lawn care specialists. These people are insurance specialists. These people are, they own, financial whatever. They're not marketers, not digital marketers. So when you walk in and you go and you don't talk about, I build chatbots. You don't. You talk about, well, I help people generate business through social media. Yeah, I help people generate more profits through Facebook. Yeah, I help them utilize, social media to get more, whatever it is, right? You have to, we talk about how to sell it the right way, but there's BNI groups, there's networking groups, there's, I mentioned Toastmasters. Those are great things. Chamber of Commerce. Also, offline events is trade shows, right? So trade shows, things like home shows or industry events, industry trainings, right? Those things where there's hundreds or thousands of people in the similar industry, right? And they all go to this conference, right? Well, just show up. Even if you're not in that industry, show up and talk to those people. And guess what? You ask questions about them. You're interested in them. They're going to go, Gracie, what are you doing here? You're not a dentist. You're not a doctor. You're not a chiro. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm a marketer. I help chiros get more patients through social media. Oh, you do? How do you do that? Yeah, we do this cool thing on Facebook Messenger. It's really, really cool. Here, let me show you. Right? And so those are great ways to be able to do it. So that's offline, right? And then online, there's tons of organic ways. So obviously there's the paid route. You can run paid, Facebook ads and start conversations that way, but not a lot of people have the opportunity to do that. What you can do is you can go into business owner groups. I wouldn't recommend going into the ManyChat groups. I wouldn't recommend going into like Chatfuel or any of the bot groups because everybody in there is bot builders, but you can go into the moms, business moms group, or the, 9 to 5 dad, the breakout the 9 to 5 dad group, or you can go into the Entrepreneur Accelerator group or whatever kind of other groups that have business owners. And because you have an expertise in messenger marketing, right, you can now share stories, share case studies, share valuable stuff that's going to get people interested. And then those people who like, those people who comment, now you start conversations. Hey, how's it going? What's your business? Awesome. Cool. What are you into? Right. And then they might say, Gracie, what are you, I'd love to talk about what you do. And you let them come to you, but you start the conversation by going out and being valuable in other groups. Right. LinkedIn is a huge, we are getting so many conversations and so many appointments booked through LinkedIn right now because it's beautiful. What you can do is you can search people on LinkedIn based on their industry. You search them, you connect with them. Then if they connect with you, you can send them a message that goes to their email, right? It'll show up in their email that says, hey, you got a message from Gracie. And then you also can get their email if they're a connection on LinkedIn that you can email them, right? So you can use LinkedIn. We're scraping emails, right? So what we're doing is we have a software that will go on and find emails on all different websites, and actually we have an automated email system that sends out emails to start these conversations. So lots of different ways. I wouldn't encourage you to use all of them at first. What I would encourage you to do is to pick one, drill in on that, and find one that you can utilize based on your budget, based on your expertise, based on what you're good at and kind of what's already familiar to you. But those are the ways that we're starting conversations with these people. Gracie, is that helpful? Hopefully I didn't lose you.
Yes. Thank you.
Cool.
Very good. Thank you.
I love it. All right, guys, we're at the hour 15 mark. So if you guys have any questions, throw those into the Messenger group or into the Facebook group as well. And quick little plug, okay? Our applications are open. So if you are someone who is an established agency and you want to start selling our bots, right? You see some of the bots that we're putting out, some of these, real estate like bots, some of these just scheduling payment, bots, all these kind of weird, crazy coded bots. If you guys want to start offering those to your clients, we do have applications open for you guys to become basically premier affiliates for us. And the awesome thing is that we would build it for you. So we wouldn't get any of the credit. We would just fulfill it for you. And it would just make your agency look amazing. And then on the other side, though, is there is a lot of people who are just getting started and looking for and don't really have an established agency and don't really have an established clientele, but they're motivated and they're inspired and they want to go out there and do that. So for you guys, what we actually are having as well is a program where we're actually going to bring you onto the HD team and train you in really a kind of a sales internship role. And obviously there's commissions that are available. So when you sell stuff, you make money. But, if you want to be kind of on our team, go through our training process, have our resources and, go that route, that's one way. Or if you already have clients that you just want to bring business, you just need to get them bots built and you don't want to actually build the bot. He's on the call right now, but Dan is my business partner who handles kind of that aspect of it. So reach out if you guys want to talk about that stuff, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. I love all y'all.
Reach out to you or to Dan for that.
Either one. I'm gonna send you a link to apply, and he'll probably send you a link, but he's gonna be the one that will be following up and stuff. And so if you want to go straight to the mustard, you probably want to go to him because he'll be able to answer a lot more questions for you thoroughly. But so yes, go to Dan directly for the
Cool,
quickest.
thanks.
Cool. Dan, you want to chime in and say anything?
Yeah. If you guys want more info on any of that stuff, just you could send me a message directly on Facebook. Dan Teeman, guys, you'll find my profile. I know someone said look me up on LinkedIn. Guys, I have 2 profiles on LinkedIn. If you want to see how I have mine built out, I'm all about sharing value, especially with Hector here. He's all about it too. Once again, guys, just shoot me a message. I'll send you over my good profile on LinkedIn, and I'll send you over the right one. So, and then other than that, guys, if you want more about kind of the white label deal Hector was talking about, message me again. I'll hook you guys all up with the right info.
Sweet. All right, guys. I love all y'all. Have an amazing Tuesday. On Thursday, we're going to be back with a kind of an open Q&A mastermind. So bring all your questions, and we'll talk then. See you later, guys.